South China Morning Post, 10th of March 2023, an Iran-Saudi diplomatic agreement is mediated by China, which hails the pact as a victory for peace. China used its financial clout to sway the deal to gain access to Middle Eastern oil. As nations begin constructing their navies in opposition to Chinese hegemony, China is considering building oil pipelines across the land to transport crude oil to the Middle East. 7 years after their diplomatic links were severed, Iran and Saudi Arabia have decided to re-establish them after 4 days of intense, previously secret talks in Beijing. The deal reached this week in the Chinese capital between China, Iran, and Saudi Arabia represents a diplomatic win for the Chinese government as the Ukrainian war enters its second year and Beijing's involvement in the conflict comes under intense international scrutiny. Top security officials from Tehran and Riyadh met in Beijing for 4 days starting Monday. Iran, Saudi Arabia, and China signed a joint declaration on Friday. Iran and Saudi Arabia agreed to resume diplomatic relations and reopen embassies within 2 months due to the discussions, according to the Iranian news agency IRNA. Wang Yi, a top diplomat in China, was cited by the Foreign Ministry of China as saying that the agreement marked a victory of dialogue and peace in a statement on its website. "This demonstrates that there are other issues facing the globe today," Wang Yi said. "We confront numerous issues relating to maintaining peace and the populace's well-being that call for international attention and prompt resolution by the necessary parties. But despite their intricacy and challenges, they can be resolved through dialogue on an even playing field and with respect for one another. Money rules everything." Wang claimed that Chinese President Xi Jinping had overseen the negotiations from the outset and that the three parties' agreement was evidence of the wisdom of Beijing's recent proposal for managing international relations. Following Xi's travel to Saudi Arabia in December and Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi's trip to China last month, talks were held in Beijing. Following the seizure of its embassy in Tehran during an escalating disagreement between the two nations over Riyadh's execution of a Shiite Muslim cleric, Saudi Arabia severed relations with Iran in 2016. The two countries agreed that their foreign ministers would meet to put the agreement into action, arrange for their ambassadors to assume their posts in the respective capitals, and discuss ways to strengthen relations, according to Saudi Arabia's official news agency. The statement added that their affirmation of the respect for the sovereignty of states and the non-interference in internal affairs was part of the agreement. According to the Saudi press agency, the two parties also expressed their appreciation and gratitude to the leadership and government of the People's Republic of China for hosting and sponsoring the talks and the efforts it put towards its success. Ali Shamkhani, Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, represented Iran at the talks, and Musaid bin Mohammed Al Ibn, National Security Advisor of Saudi Arabia, led the Saudi team. On Friday, the White House rejected the notion that the U.S. was retreating from the Middle East, adding that the durability of the Beijing deal might be in doubt. John Kirby, a spokesperson for the National Security Council, said it is still unclear whether Iran will uphold its end of the bargain. According to Kirby, the Saudis notified the U.S. about the negotiations. But, he continued, we weren't immediately involved. He also downplayed the claim that the U.S. was concerned about China's success as a middleman, saying the White House backed any initiative to diffuse tensions in the area. According to Kirby, the pressure Iran is facing helped bring Iran to the table, not just the Chinese invitation to talk, he added. We continue to closely monitor China's efforts to establish influence and a presence elsewhere in the world for their self-serving purposes. We've always supported that process, and the roadmap announced today was the outcome of several rounds of negotiations, including negotiations conducted in Baghdad and Oman. According to a Middle East expert in Beijing, the agreement highlights Beijing's expanding power in the area. According to Wang Wen, executive dean of Renmin University's Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies, China has surpassed the United States regarding its positive impact in the Middle East. For a long time there, the US has played more of a negative and destructive role, he said. President Xi Jinping recently made a state visit to China, and the Iranian president visited Saudi Arabia last year. The mediation attempts in this series have produced excellent outcomes. China has consistently pushed for regional stability. China has lied while waging an all-out war on the rest of the globe.